Hey everybody, Roger from Authentic here with a flash sit rep, if you will, about the FA-18 shootdown over the Red Sea last night, 21 December 2024. At least that's when the reports were released. It's still unclear exactly when the incident occurred. What we know so far is that the USS Gettysburg, a Ticonderoga-class Aegis cruiser, reportedly serving as the air defense commander for the Harry S. Truman Strike Group, shot down a VFA-11 Red Ripper's F-18, also known as a Rhino. Both the pilot and the weapons systems officer ejected safely and were recovered, though one reportedly has minor injuries. Note that CENTCOM has not officially released a squadron identification, but VFA-11 is the only FA-18F or two-seat squadron assigned to Carrier Air Wing 1, which is assigned to Truman and has been confirmed as the parent command of the downed aircraft. The incident comes during a period of airstrikes by both U.S. and British forces against Houthi rebels, we'll save discussion of that term for a different video, near the capital of Sana'a. That's all we actually know right now, and I'm not going to go so far as to guess at what actually happened, but here's some background information that you can use to make your own assessment of the reports as they come out. And Brian Sunshine Sinclair will be here with me later this week with a more in-depth assessment of the incident once additional information is released. First, the Gettysburg is reportedly the Truman Strike Group's air defense commander, generically known as Alpha Whiskey, though the call sign is different for every strike group. That makes logical sense as she's the only cruiser assigned, and having the O6 commanded cruiser as Alpha Whiskey is the standard doctrine. What that means is that the Gettysburg crew, specifically a part of the watch team in CIC, is tasked with controlling the air defense of the Carrier Strike Group and surrounding airspace. They essentially have tactical control of all of the group's air defense ships, air control units, be they ships or E-2 Hawkeyes, and possibly direct control of one or more CAP or combat air patrol stations, which means they would have had direct control of a pair of FA-18s on a dedicated air defense tasking mission. Critically, the Gettysburg herself is one of those air defense ships, and while it's the same ship and same CIC, there is generally a separate tactical action officer and subordinate watchstanders fighting the ship, so to speak, separately from Alpha Whiskey's efforts at commanding the entire air defense picture. I should note that Gettysburg is one of the few cruisers who have been selected for the class's Service Life Extension Program, or SLEP, which she completed in the past several years. Among other things provided by the SLEP are advancements to the ship's combat systems, though I seriously doubt that was a direct contributor to this incident in any way. We don't know what time of day the incident occurred, though a night engagement would not only fit tactically with the U.S. pattern of operations in the Red Sea over the past year, it would also comport with carrier aircraft launch footage from Truman that has been released by CENTCOM. As we wait for more information, I need to point out that it's not as simple as presuming the crew of Gettysburg made a mistake. Fleet air defense is a complex task. Returning aircraft must follow certain course, speed, altitude, and location constraints when flying back to the strike group. They also should have their identification friend or foe, or IFF, in transmit mode, or as we say, squawking, so that all defense forces recognize them as friendly. Should the Rhino have been off that return to force profile, or not been squawking IFF, be it from human error or equipment failure, she may very well have looked like an inbound cruise missile, especially if she wasn't radiating her air-to-air or air-to-ground radar, as may have been the case if she was preparing to land. There is also the potential that the Rhino was on an overhead air-to-air refueling mission and may have not have had a designated return to force profile. We also don't know what kind of weapon was used to shoot down the Rhino, though with Aegis ships the first thought is always an SM-2 or SM-6 family, though vertical launch Sea Sparrow is also available to the Ticonderoga class. It's generally thought of as a ship's self-defense weapon, rather than an area defense weapon, however. I don't want to speculate, but there seem to be four possible broad potential scenarios. 1. The Rhino was off track and or not broadcasting IFF and not responding to radio warnings, and that she was then believed to be an inbound threat, be it a missile or aircraft. 2. That the Rhino was on track and broadcasting, but either Alpha Whiskey or the Gettysburg Air Defense Team or some mixture thereof misidentified the aircraft. I should note that either of the above could have been greatly affected by the aircraft potentially having an in-flight emergency that either degraded aircraft systems, crew resource availability, or both. 3. Weapon systems soft failure. By soft failure, I mean the possibility that Gettysburg was engaging a valid target and for whatever reason the missile guided onto the F-18 instead. 4. Weapon systems hard failure, meaning the ship was tracking the F-18 for training or general air tracking and the launch was unintentional. While a thorough assessment demands we at least identify the last two as potentials, I believe the soft weapons failure is highly unlikely for technical and tactical reasons, and the hard failure, while not completely impossible, is extraordinarily unlikely, and if that is the case would demand questions be asked of the watch team's actions. For the moment, though, we should wait for more definitive word, and as I said, I'll be back with sunshine later this week when more information is forthcoming. If you've enjoyed this, you can hear more about fleet air defense, the F-18, the SM-2, and other great military aviation topics at Authentic Media on your podcast platform of choice, this YouTube channel, or our website, www.authenticmedia.io.